too ice, do you? The reason I brought this one in forward is that I want these bolts to be going to inside. So those bolts will come to inside, these bolts will go to inside. But you just forget how heavy things are, don't you? I can't remember how we got them out there. But yeah, bloody hell heavy. So I'll get round and just drop him down. Yeah, I've still got them all. Right, good show. I mean, they're virtually on, aren't they, them? Right, well, morning all. Got both those springs in, both the rear springs in. Very heavy. But anyway, they're in. I'm going to use the crane to lift them into place when we get going. Like many of you, I've got quite an extensive branded mud flap collection, which I quite enjoy, and also, as you can see, we've got a quite extensive collection of shuttle pins and bushes. None of these came off this vehicle. This is years and years of collecting and scrapping vehicles and buying stuff at shows and all the rest of it, and then you go to a show and go, oh, you can't get these anymore. No, because you've already bleeding bought them. But anyway, that's a different story. A couple of highlights in here for me. This one is in a Foden Parks bag. It's a Sandbatch Engineering part, that one. It's a Sandbatch Engineering Parts logo, and that's a brand new, never been used shuttle pin, so that's great. This is a half shuttle pin. Foden's used to use these shuttle pins, bushes, sorry. Foden used to use half shuttle pin bushes or third shuttle pin bushes, one in from either end. And more traditionally, that's on the deck, but more traditionally you'd have these full width ones. I've got an abundance of full width ones. We don't need them in every spring guy because some of them are actually okay. Truck was pretty well maintained, in fairness, so we'll only be fitting them where need be. The big problem with these older lorries is getting the old bush out. It can be quite delicate, and you can end up collapsing the sides in or scoring the inside of the spring because you've had to use a chisel or an air hammer or what have you. So they can be quite a challenge if you're not careful. But fortunately, this range of Foden vehicles actually came with a spring pin bush removal tool built into them, and here it is. It's an old wheel stud, and it fits in there, an absolute treat. So we're going to put that spring on a block and knock out the bush. Lovely. Tidied up my timber yesterday and made myself a ready-made avalanche. Perfect. So just drop my tool in. It's going that is, but you can see how hard it'd be if you don't have something to push it. There's one out. Right, this one's quite badly worn, this pin, so I'll just drift it with that. There we go. Both of them out. Job done. Got a nylon one there. It would have been Leyland in origin, that. There's his new pin, bush in. There's a brand new pin. Oh, look at that. Job done. Right, let's set the crane up and get it in. Right, so I decided that I stand as good a chance getting injured doing it on the trolley jack as I do as anything else. So we're going to have a quick go on the trolley jack. I don't understand how these have got so heavy in the last 20 years, because they were never this much of a problem when I was a lad. These plates have got to be fitted at some point, so I was just interested in if they'll go in the hanger okay, and they will, obviously. So tempting to put your finger in there, isn't it? Nice tight fit. Right. Not bad. Do a spray of full of potion number 9. There we go. So a bit of downward pressure on the spring just to twist it, got it across, bingo. Got my back pinch in. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful that. I just need some spring washers, got some of them, so that's good, isn't it? Right, I'll get the other side done and then bring you back when we're ready to sit the axle on there. Brilliant. Right, well, I'm back. I haven't really touched this summer because well, about April, May time I managed to hurt me back, partly doing this and partly riding my big bike a bit too fast and probably chasing down slower riders on faster bikes. Anyway, the upshot of it was that had to go, because you know, having a fast bike and not riding it fast is a bit like drinking a pint and spitting it out, isn't it? So so I got rid of that and bought a couple of smaller bikes, and I've really enjoyed them. A V7 and a Street Twin. I also rebuilt a GS850 that my mate John put on to me, and that's now in the auction at H&H. Hopefully by the time you see this we'll be on the run up to that. And I also bought an FZX 750 in the same batch and sold that to my next door neighbour. Got that running and sold it to my next door neighbour. So that's been good. I bought a 7 Series BMW, which was a non-runner. Apparently an electrical fault, turned out to be a block DPF. Fantastic car. Absolutely fantastic car. An absolute missile. 3 litre, auto, electric everything on it. Fantastic. But struggling to sell that, if I'm really honest. I'm struggling to sell it for what I think it's worth anyway. But anyway, onwards and upwards. So, next mission is to get that cross member there in this gap here and put the diff in. So let's get on with it. I made some alterations to the front end now. I've ratchet strapped the front of the chassis to the engine, which has given us a lot more confidence. This chassis rail is obviously pinched in because we've put that cross member in at the front there, the big one. So I put the porta power in the chassis rails, and I'm going to push it out a little bit now, which will allow us to get the rear cross member in. Doesn't need a lot. Probably do is so we've got the cross member rested in. These are, as I've said before, individually anded because of the way they're drilled. So this one looks the best fit for this side. So we'll get the bolts through and then see if we can hang him. Now of course one of the other problems we've got at the moment is because we're pushing, it's twisting the chassis. So I'm just going to try and get that nut on, and then I'm going to release the pressure and then we're away again. That's all we need. Right, can let the pressure off now. Nice. So we may end up having to get a sash clamp on this now and pull it together just to get it all to work. Okay. Paint's obviously a factory here, so it'll take a bit of knocking through. There we go. Right, and the problem I'm now having, even though we've got that bolt in there, the bottom isn't lining up because that is flush. We've got this gap here that I need to take up with that sash clamp, so we're going to reposition that in a second. But if you look over here at this other one, I've got, like, you know, best part of 3/8 of an inch there, sort of overlap. So we'll drop that sash clamp down and see if we can just pull him in a bit. That shouldn't be too bad at that. Yeah, I think we'll get a bolt in at that. Got it. Will not go on now. Lovely job. Right, this one's the last spring hanger bolt. Oh, everything else is tightened up. I've managed to get some really nice shake-proof washers for these, like the ones that it would have when it left the factory, and everything's gone together really nice. I've spared you that because, well, wasn't really on to see, was it? So what we're going to get on to next is getting this swinging chattel in here. So this is the swinging chattel. It's got this stop here, and I would imagine that's if the spring breaks and it acts as a sprag. So logic will dictate it goes to the back. I check the photos, and indeed it does. We need the hammer. Everything's covered in paint. Beautiful. And again we're going with a star washer on then. Just taking out the grease out the inside of the bush, because before I painted it I greased the inside so the paint doesn't stick. Just needed a piece of rag, didn't we? Right, I'm going to see if I can cheat a bit here by putting the bottle jack in here and just slightly lifting the chassis to get the slightly lift the chassis to get this to line up and bring the swinging chattel forward, and save us a load of time and effort. I'm getting some movement. So tempting, put your finger in that hole, isn't it? Right, here we go. Not bad at that. Right, let's get this one in then. It's a slight bit much that. It's not bad. Beautiful. Nothing moving there, is there? So it's all pretty good. Get that bolted up. This should sit here now. Lovely. So all I've got to do now is do the same on the other side, and then we're ready to fasten down the axle. Right, so we've got everything bolted up now. Both rear hangers are bolted on. Cross members in place. That's going nowhere. All my pinch bolts are in. Everything's really nice there. The springs and the axle are basically floating now off the chassis. It's sat down on that A-frame that we made in the middle. The front end is ratcheted down to the engine to stop it flying away. Better take this off. This was put in to pull the spring over, to pull that spring that way, just to get everything lined up, and that's gone really well. So probably a good place to leave this instalment now.
I have a lot of cleaning up to do, a lot of bolt sorting out to do. Obviously one of the big problems you have in this shed doing a project this size is you start to run out of space. So what I need to plan next is jobs that get me stuff off the floor and give me some access. So painting the U-bolts and getting them fitted be a good way of doing that. That'll get rid of some stuff, and putting the diff in it get rid of some stuff. These bolts on these pinch bolts are 1/2 inch UNF by 2 3/4, and they're nice and neat. I'm running out of Imperial bolts, so if anybody's got any Imperial bolts for sale, they don't need to be new. I'd rather have the older ones, to be fair, but if anybody's got any for sale or they want to sell some, then do let me know, because I'd be interested in taking them off your hands. Right, great stuff. See you on the next instalment.